My front door burst open like a dam breaking, and in stormed my boyfriend's parents. Faces lit up like they'd won the lottery. I froze mid-sip of my coffee, wondering if I'd accidentally starred in a reality show I didn't sign up for. It was a quiet Saturday evening, the kind where you're content to let the world pass you by. I was sprawled on my couch, scrolling through my phone, the hum of the TV in the background. My tiny house in the suburbs of Portland wasn't much just enough for me, my cat, and a few too many houseplants, but it was mine. I'd been dating Ethan for 6 months, and while things were good, they weren't meet the parents good yet. So when Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, Tom, and Linda barged through my door without so much as a knock, I nearly choked. Clara. Oh, Clara, Linda gushed, her arms outstretched like she was about to hug a long-lost daughter. We can't thank you enough. Her eyes sparkled with tears, her voice thick with emotion. Tom stood behind her, nodding vigorously, his weathered face creased with a grin that could have lit up the room. I set my mug down, heart pounding. Uh, Hi, I managed, glancing between them. Thank me for what? Tom stepped forward, clutching a small velvet box in his hands like it was the Holy Grail. This, he said, voice low and reverent. This gift. You've changed everything for us. I blinked. Gift I hadn't sent them anything. Not a card, not a fruit basket, nothing. Ethan hadn't even mentioned his parents were in town. My mind raced, trying to piece together what was happening. Had I sleepwalked into a department store and bought something extravagant? Was this a prank? I forced a smile, hoping it didn't look as panicked as I felt. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. What gift? Linda's face softened, like she thought I was being modest. Oh, sweetheart, don't be shy. The check, the $50,000. She clasped her hands together, practically vibrating with gratitude. It's paid off our mortgage. We're free, Clara. Free. My stomach dropped like I just missed a step on a staircase. $50,000, I didn't have that kind of money. My bank account was more ramen noodles than philanthropic windfall. I glanced at the velvet box Tom was still holding, half expecting it to glow or levitate or do something to explain this madness. There's been a mistake, I said, my voice shaky. I didn't send you any money. Tom's smile faltered, just for a second, but Linda laughed, waving a hand. Oh, don't be silly. It came from your name, your address. We saw the paperwork ourselves. She reached out and squeezed my arm, her touch warm but insistent. You're an angel, Clara. Ethan's so lucky to have you. My head spun. Ethan, of course. This had to involve him. He was sweet, charming, a little too good at dodging serious conversations about his past. We'd met at a coffee shop, bonded over our love for bad sci-fi movies, and things had been smooth, maybe too smooth. But 50 grand, I wasn't even sure he had my address memorized. I grabbed my phone, ready to call him, but Tom spoke up again. We brought you something, he said, finally opening the velvet box. Inside was a delicate silver necklace, a small heart-shaped pendant glinting under my living room lights. It's not much, but it's from us. A thank you. I stared at the necklace, my throat tight. It was beautiful, but it felt like a weight I didn't ask to carry. I really don't understand, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I didn't send you anything. I swear. Linda's smile wavered this time, and she exchanged a glance with Tom. But the bank confirmed it. She said, her voice losing some of its warmth. Your name was on the account. Clara Marie Evans, 2247 Pine Street. That's you, isn't it? My blood ran cold. That was me. My full name. My address. But I hadn't written any checks. Hadn't wired any money. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground crumbling beneath me. I need to call Ethan, I said, fumbling with my phone. Linda's face hardened. Just a fraction. Clara, if this is some kind of joke, it's not, I snapped. Louder than I meant to. I took a breath, trying to steady myself. I'm sorry, I need to figure this out. Can you tell me exactly what happened? Tom cleared his throat, setting the velvet box on my coffee table. About a week ago, we got a call from our bank. Said a payment had been made on our mortgage, a full payoff. $50,000, wired directly from an account in your name. We thought, well, we thought you and Ethan had planned it together. He's been talking about you nonstop, saying you're the real deal. I barely heard the compliment. My fingers shook as I dialed Ethan's number. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. Ethan, call me back. Now, I said, my voice tight. I turned back to Tom and Linda, who were watching me like I was a puzzle they couldn't solve. I didn't send that money. I said again, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to find out. The next hour was a blur. Tom and Linda sat on my couch, their gratitude slowly morphing into unease. I made tea, mostly to keep my hands busy, while they explained how they'd been struggling for years. Tom had lost his job during the pandemic, and Linda's medical bills from a recent surgery had piled up. The mortgage payment had been a miracle, a lifeline. They'd assumed I was some kind of secret benefactor, maybe because Ethan had told them I was generous. I didn't have the heart to tell them I was a freelance graphic designer who could barely afford my own rent. When Ethan finally called back, his voice was cheerful, oblivious. Hey, babe, what's up? Your parents are here, I said, my tone sharp enough to cut glass. They think I paid off their mortgage. $50,000. Ethan, care to explain? There was a long pause on the other end, the kind that screams guilt. What he stammered. That's crazy. I didn't. Don't lie to me, I said, my voice low. Tom and Linda were staring at me now, their faces a mix of confusion and growing dread. Get over here. Now. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later, his usual easy grin nowhere to be found. He looked at his parents, then at me, and I could see the gears turning in his head, searching for an escape. Clara, I can explain. He started, but I held up a hand. Then explain. I said, because I'm about 2 seconds from calling the bank and reporting fraud. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Okay, look, I might have used your name for something. It wasn't supposed to go like this. Might have, I repeated, my voice rising. You used my name for a $50,000 transaction. Are you insane? Tom stood up, his face red. Ethan, what the hell did you do? Ethan flinched, his shoulders slumping. I didn't steal anything. Okay, I borrowed some money from a guy I know. He's got connections. Said he could help me out. I told him I needed to help my parents, and he set up the payment. I used Clara's name because, well, I didn't want it tied to me. Linda gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. You used her identity, Ethan. How could you? I was going to tell you, he said, his voice desperate. I just needed time to pay it back. The guy said it was clean. No strings attached. No strings, I laughed, bitter and sharp. Ethan, you forged my name on a bank transfer. That's not no strings. That's a felony. Tom's hands clenched into fists, and for a moment, I thought he might actually hit his son. You dragged Clara into this. You let us believe she was some kind of saint. Ethan looked like he wanted to disappear. I didn't think it would get this far. I was going to fix it before anyone found out. I shook my head, my anger giving way to a hollow ache. I'd trusted him. I'd let him into my life, my home, and now I was tangled in some scheme I didn't even understand. Who's this guy you borrowed from, I asked. And don't lie to me again. Ethan hesitated, his eyes darting to the floor. His name's Marcus. He's not exactly a banker, more like a guy who knows people. A loan shark. Linda's voice was a whisper, her face pale. Ethan, tell me you didn't. He didn't answer, which was answer enough. I felt sick. $50,000, tied to my name, from some shady figure who probably wasn't sending me a thank you note. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up my bank account, half expecting to see it drained. It wasn't yet, but that didn't mean I was in the clear. We need to go to the bank, I said, slamming the laptop shut. And the police? This needs to be reported. Ethan's eyes widened. Clara, Wait, you don't understand. Marcus isn't someone you mess with. If we go to the cops, then you shouldn't have messed with him, I shouted. You dragged me into this. Ethan, I could lose everything because of you. Linda was crying now, her hands covering her face. Tom put an arm around her, but his eyes were on Ethan, burning with a mix of anger and disappointment. You're my son, he said, his voice breaking. How could you do this to us? To her, the room fell silent, the weight of it all pressing down on us. I looked at the necklace on the coffee table, its heart-shaped pendant catching the light. It was supposed to be a thank you, a symbol of gratitude. Now it felt like a cruel irony. The next few days were a whirlwind. I went to the bank, explained everything, and filed a fraud report. The police got involved, and Ethan came clean mostly. Marcus, it turned out, was a small-time criminal who'd been using Ethan to launder money through fake transactions. My name had been a convenient cover, one Ethan thought he could use and then erase before I noticed. He swore he hadn't meant to hurt me, that he'd planned to pay it all back. I didn't care. Trust once broken doesn't glue back together so easily. Tom and Linda were devastated. They offered to return the necklace, but I told them to keep it. It wasn't their fault, and I didn't want a reminder of this mess. They apologized over and over, their gratitude replaced by guilt. I didn't blame them, but I couldn't look at them the same way either. As for Ethan, he's out of my life. The police are still sorting out the mess with Marcus, and I've had to freeze my accounts, change my locks, and pray my credit doesn't tank. I'm left with a house that feels less like a home and a heart that's a little more guarded. This whole ordeal taught me something. Though, trust is fragile, and intentions don't erase consequences. I'd thought Ethan was my safe place, but he was a storm I didn't see coming. And yet, there's a strange hope in it all. I survived this. I faced the chaos, stood my ground, and came out stronger. Maybe that's the real gift here, not the money, not the necklace, but the lesson. What do you think, was Ethan's betrayal a product of desperation, or was it just selfishness? Should I have gone easier on him, considering his parents' situation? Share your thoughts. What's the line between loyalty and accountability when trust is broken?